Hello. Welcome back to Peace Over Performance in session two. My goodness, we are rolling now, you guys. We're doing it here. Okay, so if you joined me on the launch session last week and you came away from that time together and you said, "Wow, I am into this peace over performance language. I do want to know more about my peace self and how it can be the centrifuge and fuel to my performance self and what that could mean for me, what that could mean for me as a leader, what that could mean for my career, or my life, or inspire my faith. There's so many avenues to this, but if you're there with that and you're saying, man, you said to yourself, I am so here for this. Well, I'm so here for you, and we're together for a reason. This isn't my journey, it's yours. And my work now is just to teach you the language and to help you unpack everything and find its place inside of you and in its place in how you give what you do and how you do and everything wonderful and amazing about who you are to this world that needs it very badly. This world that needs you. So as I shared in the launch session, I am a YouTube rookie. And I realized after I posted and published the first launch session, I did not have comments turned on. So I fixed that, and comments are on. Just like I like to do as an executive coach, I would just love to hear your reflections. And usually, when I'm coaching people, eh, sometimes, I'll definitely do this as a sort of a habit is when we start the second session, I'll say, so what were you thinking about the last session? What are you still thinking about? You know, what landed? I want to hear what you take away from our time together because what you pull out of here is unique to you. And what I believe is that your peace self already knows how to use it. Like, in other words, if something grabs your attention that I'm saying, it's because you know how to use it already and you just are on the way of figuring this out. And so if you share that with me, then we can use it in future sessions. I can talk about it. I can say, hey, this was in a comment. Let me comment on the comment. And I will comment, of course, inside the YouTube platform. I want to also say this. Oh man, this was so nice when I published it. You're always like, and I put the launch video out to a number of platforms, and people who know me well were so amazing in how you guys all came on and made comments and supporting me and doing this and cheering me on and wanting me to do this. I just loved it. It's so great. It's so edifying. Thank you so much. I love you guys. I love you. I love you very much. Okay, so today we're going to start off talking about a really important virtue I'm going to bring up here in a moment. It's um, a virtue that is core to peace over performance. And the virtue is being powerfully imperfect. Powerfully imperfect. But I want to take a little note here. Um, the verbal logistics, let's just say that they are as you come in here and just, it's me talking, is I will repeat definitions maybe many times. And the reason why I'm doing that isn't because I haven't remembered I've done it, because, it's important for you to grab hold of this language as I've defined it for reasons. Okay. So I'm going to keep repeating things a couple of times over so you can get comfortable with the words. So peace self is always worthy, always loved, always learning. Worthy, love, learning. The performance self is responsible, determined, and achieving. Um, and I'm not indicting performance when I say peace over performance. And performance Well, your performance self is a thing of beauty. Honestly, it's done amazing things for you all throughout your life. And you can think about times you've like strived through something and you've accomplished it, you've survived through something, and you came out alive. But the performance self needs the peace self. It needs it. It's not a, it absolutely has to have the peace self. The performance self over time just does not play well solo, and it literally runs out of steam. It literally can turn in on itself. It literally can indict itself. There's so many performance self traps we'll talk about at some point as we go, but it has to have the duet of the peace self. And I think you know this already. That's why you're here already into session two. And so we are on our way, folks. So let's get into this virtue, though. So let's get in this virtue and just keep this rolling. Let's go. So I want to start talking a little bit about just what is a virtue. I mean, I think we all know the word and are somewhat absolutely familiar with what the definition is, but here I'm going to read this to you for a moment. A virtue is a positive character trait or quality that reflects moral excellence and contributes to good life, both from the individual and society. It's typically rooted in ethical principles like honesty, courage, or compassion, and expressed through consistent actions that align with these principles. Virtues are often cultivated through practice and reflection to balance personal growth and well-being of others. I just love that definition. So we're talking about being powerfully imperfect and making that a virtue in our heart or mind. And how it relates to peace or performance is your peace self knows how to your peace self knows how to harness your imperfection powerfully. And all your imperfections are actually some of the most endearing, beautiful, amazing, authentic, reachable qualities that you have. And your peace self, working in tandem, in duet with performance self, completely intuitively, unconsciously gets that and lets them show up and lets them these things about you that are quirky and maybe a little weird, eccentric, whatever, lets these things just be there and connect with others through it. Okay, so I want to ask you a question. Think about the time recently, any time recently, that you were really hard on yourself. I mean, just hard on yourself. You second guessed yourself, you were doubting yourself, you were raking yourself through the coals, all of these things. And I want you to think about this in terms of the peace self versus the performance self, right? I want you to think about it for just a moment. This is just like a little reflective exercise right here in our coaching session. And you replay some things that you said to you inside your head, the self-talk. How much of it was coming from your performance self? How much of it was coming from this always worthy, loved, learning peace self? I'm just out of curiosity. Sometimes when I see this unfold, or I'll even stop myself, I see it unfold in other people, and I'll stop myself and I'll say, wait a minute, what does the peace self have to say about this? Because we will rant on and on and on, you know, and indict ourselves to no end. And it's all about the performance self not having the peace self in any guidance. There's no tandem line. There's no duet. Okay. So being powerfully imperfect, in the peace over performance world, I'm telling you, it's not the world where we live with like the completely tightly tucked sheet with the geometrical corners and it's creased perfectly in the peace or performance world, you know? We don't really live with that. In the peace or performance world, we live with the comforter has been thrown over the bed. And maybe a dog is under the comforter, maybe a cat, maybe a kid, maybe a dog, cat, and kid is just all under the comforter. It's whatever, some socks, some laundry, and things are just happening. But here's what's beautiful about it. When you are in the peace over performance walk, that room where the comforter is just thrown in and everything's not completely tucked tightly, uh, you walk in and you know it's home. And the imperfect parts of you are actually what make you home to yourself, and actually a comfortable home for others to walk into. Have you ever walked in one of those places, those homes, where things are set up so beautifully and they are so almost like you've walked into a model home? That you're afraid to put a glass down. You are very conscious of how you're moving around that place. You don't want to mess anything up, God help, I don't want to spill anything. I mean, you just want to keep it just stay inside the lines. And hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with neatness and order. I'm not knocking that at all. And there's a lot of peace that comes with neatness, order, and sometimes very pristine levels of perfection here and there. But here's what happens when the performance self is, completely absent of the peace self is imperfection, I'm sorry, is something to be feared. It is something to be feared because it's like what happens with the performance self without peace is it overplays itself. It overplays, it's too careful, it's too vigilant. And not allowing some of the natural things that come in through the power of imperfection, the power of imperfection. We don't think of imperfection as powerful. We think of it as something to tolerate. But no, it's actually quite powerful, right? Think about this when you meet people that are just sort of they can laugh at themselves. Like me here, I'm kind of like not being completely perfect in how I'm necessarily editing and doing all this stuff with these recordings. And you know what? I'm okay with that because, hey, I mean, this is part of a virtue of peace over performance. We got to just be who we are. And it allows us to shake off this sort of armor that, of course, has been written about very heavily in Brene Brown's work and many other places. I mean, peace over performance in its, threads is out in the world already in a million different communicated ways. I just see it through that specific lens, right? We know this. We know that we need to be powerfully imperfect. And we just kind of, the peace self is more equipped to let you get there. Okay, now this is a funny thing. I did this as a, because we live in an AI world now, and this is me for real. This is an AI. Uh, but we're talking to AI, and I thought, well, even AI makes mistakes sometimes, right? It does, it draws from the wrong resource, and I've corrected AI here and there. But I decided to ask AI a question about what it thought about powerfully imperfect, powerfully imperfect. Let me get the words right. Of our most one of our most core virtues. There'll be others in the peace or performance world, and this is what it said. And I thought this was very interesting, by the way. I love the concept of powerfully imperfect as a virtue. It's a fresh and intriguing way to frame a positive trait. To me, it suggests a quality of embracing one's flaws or limitations with confidence and strength, using them as a source of authenticity and resilience. All right, AI, preach it. Preach it, AI. It's like saying, I'm not perfect, but I harness my imperfections to grow, connect, and make it impact. It aligns with virtues like courage and self-acceptance, but with a dynamic twist that emphasizes owning your humanity as a strength, not a weakness. How about that? Pretty good. See, now, Even AI needs peace over performance. What do you think? What do you think? I want you to be at ease with yourself. I want you to be at ease. And your peace self is where you make peace with you. So this is kind of start of the kernel coding of peace or performance in a way. It's these very beautiful virtues, and I'll drop them in every so often, but this is the one we needed to get started with. So please share what you take from today. Please share what you're thinking now, how I've got your wheels spinning. I want to hear them and see them in the comments. See, I can't obviously hear your voices. I can feel you though. I can feel you there. Isn't that weird? I can feel you. I feel the love. So, so give me your thoughts. I want to hear them, and we'll talk about them next time and be in session 3 on peace over performance. I cannot wait to see you guys. All right. Have a fabulous, beautiful, beautiful, wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon.